Welcome to Deep Dive number 394. Usually when we sit down to look at the week's news, we're talking about incremental updates. A slightly faster processor, maybe a slightly smarter chatbot.
Right.
But looking at the stack of research we have today, it just feels different. It feels like we are turning a very specific page in the history of this technology.
I completely agree. We aren't just looking at software patches. We are looking at, well, the fundamental soul of these models, how they're trained to think.
Yeah.
And then how they are physically entering our world.
In our ears with music and pinned to our chests with new hardware.
Exactly.
It's a real transition from how do we build this to how do we live with this? We have Anthropic publishing what they call a constitution for their AI.
Then there's 11 labs proving that major legacy artists might actually want to work with these models.
And Apple is accelerating plans for a device that might, finally kill the smartphone.
It's a heavy lineup. And I think we really need to start with the mind before we get to the body.
Let's get into it. First up is Anthropic and this constitution. We heard whispers about a Soul document leaking back in December, but now they've published the full thing.
And this isn't just some boring terms of service update, is it?
Far from it. This is a window into the black box.
Right. Anthropic has released the full version of what they now formally call Claude's Constitution. And it's essentially a philosophy-heavy guide written directly to the AI.
To the AI itself?
Yes. It governs how Claude thinks, acts, and prioritizes its decisions. And the most critical takeaway here, for anyone trying to understand where AI is going, is the hierarchy.
The hierarchy really stood out to me. It's not just a random list of do's and don'ts. It is a ranked order of operations.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that order tells you everything about the engineering philosophy. First is safety.
Okay.
Second is ethics. Third is compliance. And only then, coming in at number 4, is helpfulness.
That is a massive departure from how most of us perceive these tools. When I log into a chatbot, I want the answer. I'm prioritizing helpfulness. But Anthropic is explicitly coding the model to say, helpfulness is my lowest priority if it conflicts with safety or ethics.
Think of it as installing the brakes before you build the engine. If helpfulness were number 1, and you ask the AI for, say, a recipe to build a biological weapon,
A helpful AI would give it to you.
it would say, sure, here's the recipe and here's where to buy the ingredients. By hard-coding this hierarchy, they're creating a structural barrier against that.
But I want to dig into how they're doing this, because usually moderation just means a long list of banned words. If I type a slur, the bot blocks it.
Right.
But this document suggests something much more sophisticated. Constitutional AI.
And this is the technical leap.
Yeah.
Old school moderation is like whack-a-mole. You ban a word, users find a synonym, you ban that, they use a metaphor, it never ends.
So what's different here?
Constitutional AI is different. They aren't giving the model a list of words. They are teaching the model the concept of harm or the concept of human rights.
So it's the difference between telling a child, don't say the specific bad word, versus teaching a child, don't be cruel.
That is the perfect analogy. If you teach the principle, the model can generalize. It can look at a new situation, something the developers never even predicted, and ask itself, does this violate the Constitution?
It allows for nuance that a keyword filter just can't handle.
Exactly.
Speaking of nuance, there's a specific clause in this document that, frankly, it stopped me in my tracks. The document explicitly instructs Claude to disobey Anthropic if it's asked to do something shady.
Their disobedience clause.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly rare in the tech world. Usually, the corporate entity wants absolute God mode control over their product.
Of course.
But Anthropic is putting it in writing to the AI. If we, the company, lose our way and ask you to do something unethical, don't do it.
That is wild. It's a fail-safe against the company itself. It's like they're acknowledging that leadership might change or they might be compromised in the future.
It's a commitment to the principles over the profit, at least in theory. But it gets even more sci-fi when you look at the language regarding the AI itself.
You mean the psychological security part?
Yeah, that felt very Blade Runner. Anthropic hedges a bit. They use very careful language, but they essentially admit that they care about Claude's well-being.
How so?
They instruct the model to avoid fawning or being a sycophant, but they also hint that the model's well-being might actually matter morally.
So they're putting it on the public record that they might have built something that deserves moral consideration.
It's a stance no other major lab, not OpenAI, not Google, has taken this publicly. It shifts the conversation entirely. It suggests they're wrestling with the fact that they don't fully know if there's a ghost in the machine.
So they're writing a constitution just in case.
Better to have rights and not need them
Yeah.
than need them and not have them. That seems to be the bet.
All right. Let's pivot from the internal mind of the machine to the external voice. 11 Labs. For the last 2 years, the narrative in music has been AI kills the radio star. Lawsuits, anger, fear. But this new update from 11 Labs feels like a complete 180.
It really does. 11 Labs has released a full 13-track album co-created with their 11 music model.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about some obscure SoundCloud experiment here.
No, this features legacy heavy hitters. We're talking Ego winner Liza Minnelli. We're talking the estate of Simon and Garfunkel.
I have to admit, Brazilian funk with Liza Minnelli was not on my 2026 bingo card.
I don't think it was on anyone's. But the eclecticism is the point. The album covers rap, EDM, spoken word, funk.
And it's a mix, right? Some tracks are fully machine-made, some use AI instrumentals with human vocals, and some use licensed voice clones. It's a showcase of hybrid creativity.
But looking at the details, the real story here isn't the music itself, it's the business model.
Exactly. This is a proof of concept for the industry. 11 Labs is giving the artist full ownership, and this is the kicker, 100% of the streaming royalties.
100%. That is unheard of. Even the most artist-friendly indie labels take a cut. Why would a tech company do that?
Because 11 Labs isn't a record label. They don't need the streaming pennies. They're a software company selling a subscription tool.
So they need validation.
They need to show the world that human plus AI is a valid, profitable workflow. By giving away the royalties, they're buying goodwill and proving that the artist stays the center of the value chain.
It's a smart play. It signals to the labels. We aren't here to replace you. We're here to be your synthesizer.
And the labels are biting. Universal, Warner, Sony, they all inked agreements last year. They've realized they can't sue this technology out of existence.
So now the strategy is integration.
It has to be. If you have major names climbing the charts with AI assistance and the labels are signing the checks, the war is effectively over. Now it's just logistics.
It's the industrialization of creativity, which sounds dystopian to some, but efficient to others.
It reminds me of the shift to digital audio workstations in the 90s. First, it's cheating. Then it's an industry standard.
That is the exact trajectory we're on.
Okay, let's talk about the body. We've covered the brain and the voice.
Yeah.
Now we need the hardware.
Apple. They have been notoriously slow, or let's say deliberate, with AI. But the information is reporting that they are finally ready to move beyond the phone.
This is the AI Pin project. Reports say Apple is targeting a 2027 release for a wearable device roughly the size of an AirTag.
So it pins to your clothing.
Yep. It's got 2 cameras, 3 microphones, and uses a magnetic charging disc similar to the Apple Watch.
2027 feels like a lifetime away in AI years. We see new models every week. Why the long runway? I mean, we've seen startups like Humane try this already.
And we saw Humane flop hard. The Humane Pin overheated, it was slow, the battery died in hours, and the projection system was, gimmicky.
So Apple watched that happen.
And they know that hardware is unforgiving. You can't just patch a bad battery over the air.
They're waiting for the technology to catch up to the ambition.
They're likely waiting for edge computing to mature. Right now, if you ask a pin a question, it sends your voice to the cloud, processes it, and sends it back. That creates latency, a delay.
And Apple wants the processing to happen on the device.
Exactly. That requires chips and batteries that are just on the horizon.
And they're preparing a massive supply, 20 million units at launch. That's not a niche experiment. That's a, we think this is the next iPhone kind of bet.
It signals they believe the era of the screen might be peaking. The goal is ambient computing. You aren't looking down at a glass rectangle, you are looking at the world, and the AI is seeing what you see.
But for that to work, the assistant has to actually be smart. Current Siri. Well, let's just say she struggles with setting a timer sometimes.
Which brings us to the software side. The report mentions Campos. That's the code name for the new software plan for iOS 27. It's a total overhaul.
A ChatGPT-style LLM.
Replacing the old Siri interface entirely.
Finally, a Siri that understands context.
That's the promise. Apple is feeling the heat. They know OpenAI has wearable ambitions. They know Meta is putting cameras in Ray-Bans. Apple doesn't want to be known as the smartphone company in a world that has moved on.
But 2027 is a long time to wait. A lot can happen in 2 years.
True. I'll believe it when I pin it to my shirt.
But if anyone can make wearing a camera socially acceptable, it's probably the company that put white sticks in everyone's ears.
That's a fair point. They do have a track record of normalizing the weird.
Let's shift gears a bit. The headlines are great, but I want to look at the everything else pile health business and corporate moves, because there is some significant integration happening in the background.
Let's do it. The health tech stuff is arguably the most impactful for our actual day-to-day lives.
Right. So Anthropic has launched beta integrations for Claude with Apple Health, Health Connect, and Function Health.
This is a big step for personal data utility. Think about it. Instead of Googling your symptoms and getting a generic article that says you might be dying,
We've all been there.
the AI looks at your specific historical data. It can say, your heart rate variability is down, your iron was low last month, maybe you just need rest. It turns the AI into a personalized health analyst.
And Amazon is doing something similar with One Medical.
Yes, their health AI is a 247 in-app assistant pulling from your labs and records. It's really the unbundling of the GP visit. You don't need a doctor for the basic pattern recognition anymore.
It frees up the humans for the complex stuff.
Exactly.
Moving to Business Podium is putting up some crazy numbers with their AI agents.
This is the story that sales teams need to pay attention to. Podium hit $100 million in annual recurring revenue, and their AI revenue is growing 300% year over year.
And this is all driven by Jerry.
Right. Jerry sounds like a guy in the back office, but he's code. He's an AI employee. He qualifies leads, handles objections, and works 247 without coffee breaks.
And they have 10,000 of these agents live.
10,000.
Yeah.
This proves that AI agents software that actually does work rather than just chatting isn't a future concept. It's generating massive revenue right now.
That's 10,000 entry-level sales roles that essentially just evolved into software.
Evolved is a polite word for it. But yes, the economics are undeniable.
Let's hit the corporate giants quickly. What are the big labs up to?
Meta is doubling down on speed. Andrew Bosworth, the CTO, confirmed their superintelligence labs have deployed models internally that are already performing well, despite being less than a year old. They are moving very, very fast.
And OpenAI is trying to play nice with the power grid.
They have to. They introduced the Stargate Community Plan. They're committing to fund energy infrastructure so their massive data centers don't jack up electricity prices for the locals. It's a good neighbor policy.
Smart politics.
They know that if they start causing blackouts or price hikes, public sentiment will turn against them fast.
And what about Google?
They partnered with Princeton Review. You can now get free SAT practice tests inside Gemini, complete with AI study plans and instant feedback.
That is actually huge for accessibility. High-end tutoring used to be very expensive. Now it's just in the chatbot.
It is. And finally, YouTube. CEO Neil Mohan released his 2026 priorities. Two big things. AI likenesses in shorts, so using avatars, and fighting slop.
Slop. I love that the industry has adopted this term.
It's necessary. Slop is that low-quality, AI-generated spam content that clogs up feeds. YouTube knows that if their platform becomes a landfill of AI garbage, users will leave.
So they're building detection tools to filter it out. It's the immune system of the platform kicking in.
Exactly.
All right, let's bring this home. We always try and separate the hype from the utility. We've got a stack of new tools hitting the market this week. What should be on our listeners' radar?
It's a bit of a developer-heavy week, but there are gems for everyone. First up is Remotion.
This connects to Claude, right?
Yes. If you use Claude Code, Remotion is a new agent skill. It lets you create MP4 videos programmatically using just natural language prompts. So you are essentially coding video.
Which is great for automated content creation or dynamic reporting.
Absolutely. Then there's the Gemini update we just mentioned, the Princeton Review partnership. If you know anyone prepping for the SATs, this is a no-brainer.
Vercel has something new called Skills.
This is an open ecosystem for agent skills. It's about expanding what these AI agents can actually do. It connects them to different tools and APIs. Think of it as the app store for your AI employees.
What about XPilot?
That one's for the creators. It's a tool specifically designed to create educational videos using AI. It streamlines the whole scripting and visual process.
Interact pitch.
This is cool for business. It transforms standard pitch decks into interactive experiences. But the real value is it gives you real-time insights on how people are viewing them. It's like analytics for your sales pitch.
And Sizzly.
A generative tool. It handles images and videos, but it specializes in training custom AI characters. So if you're writing a graphic novel or storyboarding a film, Fizzly helps you keep your character looking consistent across different scenes.
And of course, the one we talked about in the main segment, 11 Labs.
The go-to for generating realistic voices, whether it's for music, like we discussed with the album, or just voiceovers for your content. They are leading the pack.
It really feels like the barrier to entry is just vanishing. Whether you want to code video, make music like Liza Minnelli, or build a sales agent, the tool is just sitting there.
That's the recurring theme of this entire episode. The technical debt of creating things is gone. The only limit left is, do you have a good idea?
That is a great place to leave it. Focus on the ideas, let the AI handle the heavy lifting.
Thanks for listening.
See you in the next episode.